Now, this is a story all about how the United States government came to allow appropriate and free education for all students, including those with disabilities, under the following jurisprudence. Now, listen closely, as we are about to find that special education law is easily defined. The IDEA we will be discussing has 6 main features that are worth more than something. FAPE is the first feature we will discuss here. It stands for Free Appropriate Public Education All Year. Taking it a step further, FAPE addresses the unique needs of all students in order to become independent successes. It's free at the state's expense and appropriate in the sense that students are placed at suitable levels for their uniqueness and ability at public institutions that meet the education standards of the state's civility. The second feature is the least restrictive environment or place. This helps to ensure the appropriateness of the education for that student's pace. Least to most is the rule of thumb, with inclusion being the goal. This service is shown to benefit students' behavior, as being able to socialize educates the soul. The third feature up next in the program is the considerations for placement. The guidelines illustrated here are those that protect students from being taught in the basement. The engagement of learning is the key, and the personnel must be trained to the highest degree. Placement cannot be based on the disability's label or severity, and needs to be flexible, responsive, changed more than just sparingly. The fourth of 6 features is the one about evaluations, and requires that the tools for evaluating the students must be non-discriminatory, authentic, culturally appropriate, and numerous to prevent familial frustrations. The evaluations will also contain one for adaptive skills, as well as one for gross physical ability will be obtained. Feature number 5 is all about due process. This refers to the paper trail the federal government requests. This feature makes it possible for the students and family to be a part of the team. It's ethical and permits the process of special education to be as fluid as a stream. The 6th and last feature of IDEA is the individualized action plan. This plan is the glue that brings the law and the education together. IDEA's front man. The IEP revolves around goals of estimation and lays down the foundation of which the education of each individual is specifically addressed and changed throughout the student's education duration. Now, for IDEA, we have discussed all the essentials, but for the special education law, there are a few more credentials. The first is described in the Americans with Disabilities Act, defining disability as a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, and that's a fact. Section 504 of the VRA determines anti-discriminatory regulations by first defining what otherwise qualified means for accommodations. A person with a disability is otherwise qualified if they can complete actions or a job as good as anyone else despite what their disability has compromised. These accommodations can be temporary or long-term and are important features of special education law as previously confirmed. Now, just a few more mentions and I'll be done with your time. It's really getting hard to rhyme, but this stuff is important, and I'm sure you'll find these last 2 tidbits will stay on your mind. You've heard about FAPE, LRE, eligibility, and placement. Medical and discipline are next in this testament. When it comes to medical attention, the schools must provide access to medicine and medical treatment, never denied. Students are not always little angels, we know, and yes, even students with disabilities can show clear signs of disobedience and even break rules, but we must protect students with disabilities from 18th century schools. Discipline plan should be a part of a student's IEP, and we should always address our concerns for students. They can't grow if we just let them be. Now, whether your students have physical ailments or have autism or Down syndrome, take a few moments. Listen to this rap to remind you of equality, because whether it's a cognitive, learning, or behavioral issue, we must treat our students with fairness and honesty. Now, I know this rap wasn't easy to listen to. Trust me, it was much harder to write. We will all be better teachers if we have a better understanding of how to protect and educate all students, all right?